And you see he's just going to take up there, and you have one guy short. Hines Ward takes the back or the end line, and Charlie Batch gets it right to him. They have a guy right on the goal line and Hines Ward in behind him on the back line or end line.
7 plays, 77 yards in 3.5 minutes. Pittsburgh with the lead again. Reed with the point after out of the Chris Gardocki hold. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are back up on top 14-7 with 1 minute and 49 seconds remaining in the opening half as you look at Ben Roethlisberger. And we go to our all-star.
Pittsburgh's Heinz Field, where the Steelers have taken a 14-7 lead late in the first half over the Miami Dolphins. And coming up Monday Night Football on ESPN, where the Washington Redskins in the first of the doubleheader, the Chargers and the Oakland Raiders in the second half. The Vikings visiting Washington to kick off Monday Night Football on ESPN. And in the nightcap, the Chargers and the Raiders from Oakland. LaDainian Tomlinson and Randy Moss in that second game. Check your local listings on ESPNDeportes.com or ESPN.com. Vikings, Redskins, Chargers, Raiders on Monday Night Football here on ESPN. Now, bet to Pittsburgh.
Steelers have played without the bus on the roster since the Super Bowl in Tempe, Arizona against Dallas after the 1995 season. Then the bus came over from the Rams and had a spectacular decade here.
You know, things you always wonder, though, why they always have their back to the field in the studio.
Lighting, I think. This is Welker. Out of bounds at the 32-yard line. They need a sound wall down there. It is loud in here tonight. A little recap now coming up of the first half. Charlie Batch getting the start with Roethlisberger undergoing the appendectomy last Sunday. They hope to have him back a week from Monday. And you had Washington making his first ever regular season catch to start the scoring. And Culpepper was able to work with a short field after a Welker punt return, setting up Brown's touchdown. And then Pittsburgh answering that with a 77-yard drive, a pass interference call that they did get. And then the touchdown to Hines Ward. 1:43 now. Miami has all of its timeouts. 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Culpepper guns it over the middle and incomplete, intended for Chris Chambers. Chris Chambers tonight, a guy that they've only thrown to a couple of times, and he has yet to make his first catch of the season.
You know, and that was one of those we talked about where they were either going to spread out and throw quickly or go maximum protection and throw 1- or 2-man patterns. That time they went maximum protection, and the problem with that is you're throwing into a lot of defensive backs.
Derek Hagan, rookie out of Arizona State, bottom of the screen, is a wideout here because Booker is still out of the game. And Culpepper throws and floats one to Welker. So Welker has been the man tonight for Miami's offense as he makes the catch. And Dante that time looked like he was going to heave it, backed off, and then threw a perfect floater for 31 yards to Welker.
One of the things that has impressed me in his first half is the pass protection that they've given Dante Culpepper. I thought that the Miami Dolphins would lose that part of the battle. They haven't in the first half.
From the 39-yard line, this time the pressure is on, but he gets it away to Brown, and Brown with some nifty sidestepping, and he's close to a first down. Rodney Bailey makes the tackle. Clark Higgins that time almost got to Culpepper, but Dante able to get rid of the ball before Higgins was in his face.
You know, that's one thing about Dante Culpepper. He's always been tough to get to the ground. You know, Nick Saban was saying even in practice, you know, some guy will come by, and of course they don't tackle or touch a quarterback, and the guy will just touch him, and Saban said, you know, they'll blow the whistle. He said, that guy wouldn't get me down.
You know, it speaks, John, to football today. To a guy like Culpepper, 6'4", 265. He said 55 last night. You know, you look at guys like Dick Butkus. Dick Butkus was like a midget next to Dante Culpepper.
And you know, Ben Roethlisberger, when he's healthy, he's the same type of guy. I mean, big guys that you just bounce off.
But this was 6-3 and 245. Let's go to Andrea.
Well, Al, we saw Wes Welker picking up some of the slack. Marty Booker still on the sidelines. The Dolphins say he has a head injury and he's got a questionable return. He had an ice pack on the left side of his head. They were giving him the concussion, what looks to be a concussion test, checking him to see how many fingers he's holding up. He seems to feel that they seem to feel that he may be able to come back in this game. That it's just maybe something over his eye, maybe like an orbital bone injury or something like that. But right now, certainly Wes Welker picking up the slack, especially with Chris Chambers not having a reception yet.
Yeah, it looks a little better than he did. He was really woozy when he went off the field, and that was about 25 minutes ago.
You know, and Ike Taylor has been on Chris Chambers all night, and Ike Taylor doing a good job.
Pressure on. Again, it's Welker, and Welker slips a tackle. He has the first down, and Welker is out of bounds at the 9-yard line. And again, Culpepper, magnificent just as he's about to get hit. And it's amazing coming off that knee surgery and major knee surgery, standing in, taking the hit, but getting it off just in time.
And that's what Dante Culpepper was talking about. I want to know where the free guy's coming from. Tell me where the unblocked guy is. He knew that the unblocked guy was coming from his left, so he could look at him and still throw the ball, knowing that he had to get rid of the ball before the unblocked guy got there.
That was Deshae Townsend. He couldn't get there. The ball is at the 8-yard line. First down, first and goal. And Culpepper throws, and that's incomplete. Turning around at the goal line was Chris Chambers, and he'll be locked up all night with Ike Taylor, one of the best corners in the league. One-on-one matchup.
You know, and that's what Dante Culpepper was trying to do there, is throw it to his back shoulder. You see, when you get tight coverage like that, you just throw it to his back shoulder, and by the time Chambers got turned around, Ike Taylor was in good position. If he got it to that back shoulder, he may have had a chance at that.
Second and goal, 44 ticks remaining. Culpepper gesturing from the shotgun. Tight formation over the middle. That pass is incomplete. And Hagan's going to contend that he was held, but he will get no flag. And it'll set up a third down, and that time again the pressure was put on by another linebacker. It was James Farrior in that instance.
Right, he had two coming free at him straight up the middle, and he knows, I mean, he can see this because the Steelers do a great job of blitzing. And you see here he has a free there and a free there, and his knee better be okay when he just steps into it and throws it like that with that kind of pressure.
He had Brett Kiesel at his feet. Third down and goal.
This is where you used to worry about Culpepper running with the ball. You know, get him spread out, and then spread out the defense, and he'd run it in.
Timeout, Miami.
Tonight on ESPN, all the news you need to know is on a brand new edition of SportsCenter. Later, Alan Green battles Emmett Linton during Friday Night Fights. Finally, the NFL season kicks off with a matchup of the Dolphins against the defending Super Bowl champion Steelers. It's SportsCenter, Friday Night Fights, and the Dolphins Steelers only on ESPN tonight.
Saban staff, and he calls the plays down to Jason Garrett, who calls them in to Dante Culpepper.
It's interesting, they bring Mike Mularkey in as the offensive coordinator, but they still use their old offensive system that was really Scott Linehan. And that's the system that Dante Culpepper played in at Minnesota, so it all makes sense.
Linehan with Culpepper up there, then 1 year in Miami, and now the head man at St. Louis. Third down and goal from the 8. Culpepper hanging in, but that pass is thrown way out of the end zone because Ryan Clark, the safety, came through. He blitzed that time. They lost Chris Hope, one of the few free agent losses, and then Ryan Clark came over as a free agent from Washington, and he's the starter.
And Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator for the Steelers, isn't going to let Culpepper have a free throw. I mean, they were doing a pretty good job of protecting for him, and then he just started bringing those blitzes, and it was always a free rusher, and each time Culpepper had to get rid of the ball when the Pittsburgh Steeler defense wanted him to, rather than when he wanted to.
This is a 26-yard attempt for Olindo Mare. So they don't get 7. They have to settle for 3. They won't go in with the game tied in all likelihood, with 32 seconds remaining now in the opening half. And the Pittsburgh Steelers will get the ball back and they lead 14-10. 3 nights from tonight, Manning, Colts Giants.
Now give me an impersonation of Eli after he's thrown an interception. All right, Eli, now give me one of Peyton after a guy dropped a pass on him.
And there they are, the 30-year-old Peyton, the 25-year-old Eli. There's an older brother, not in the NFL. You've got the middle brother and the baby. There they are as kids. So it's a tremendously anticipated game. The minute the schedule came out, everybody said we got to see this game. And then, John, 2 great teams. I mean, you've got the Colts, who could get to the Super Bowl again. The Giants come off an NFC East championship, and people like Tiki Barber and Marvin Harrison will also be showing up on Sunday night.
You're right, and that's the thing that kind of gets lost in everything. And I mean, this is interesting, the 2 brothers and the parents and the whole thing, but it's still the Colts against the Giants, 2 of the better teams in the NFL.
Teams that have rarely met over the last several seasons. And that kickoff goes all the way to the back of the end zone.
It almost went to the confluence.
You're right. The Ohio, the Allegheny, Monongahela. There is Ben Roethlisberger, and Andrea Kramer will get an opportunity before we're done to interview him at the start of the 3rd quarter. Andrea will talk to Big Ben. There's the confluence. You've got the Monongahela lower left, Allegheny lower right, forming the Ohio, and Pittsburgh will just run out the clock and go into the locker room with a 4-point lead. So opening night, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who ended last season with 4 regular season wins and then 4 postseason wins. Miami ending its regular season with 6 victories, but did not make the playoffs. The 2 hottest teams in the league coming down the stretch last year, and we've played 30 minutes.
And so the Pittsburgh Steelers begin defense of their Super Bowl crown, leading the Miami Dolphins. We'll be back. Halftime coming up. Pittsburgh 14 and Miami 10.
Tonight on ESPN, all the news you need to know is on a brand new edition of SportsCenter. Later, Alan Green battles Emmett Linton during Friday Night Fights. Finally, the NFL season kicks off with a matchup of the Dolphins against the defending Super Bowl champion Steelers. It's SportsCenter, Friday Night Fights, and the Dolphins Steelers only on ESPN tonight.
Heinz Field, the overhead look at the gorgeous stadium on a perfect night for football in September. The Steelers and the Dolphins here on ESPN, kicking off a great weekend of NFL football. Steelers fans delighted with their team's effort and back to root on. The 5-time Super Bowl champs. No team, no franchise has won as many Super Bowl championships as the Pittsburgh Steelers. Bill Cowher, their quarterback, rather their coach since 1992. 105 other coaches have been hired since then. Talk about longevity. Cowher is the reigning king among NFL coaches as far as longevity goes. We're ready for the second half kickoff, and the Dolphins kicking to the Steelers.
Jacksonville, it's a week from Monday as Murray kicks off. We start the second half in Pittsburgh. Santonio Holmes, the Ohio State rookie, the #1 draft choice, up past the 30, and then Murray bounces him out of bounds at close to the 39-yard line. Take a look at some of the numbers through the first 30 minutes of play. Slow start, a lot of punts early on, and then things began to pick up. Miami held to just 11 yards rushing. And Culpepper was able to hook up with Welker for most of that 137, so the total yardage about even. Pittsburgh a balanced attack, and Miami has thrown the ball 70% of the time.
You know, one of the interesting things Bill Cowher was saying last night, he said we'd like to make Miami one-dimensional, you know, stop their run and make them pass. Well, Miami's kind of made themselves one-dimensional in this first half.
Just 9 runs. Pittsburgh starts with a run. on their 33rd play and 17th run. Parker picks up 2 yards up to the 37-yard line. How have the top guys for the Steelers done tonight? Batch's numbers, only 66 yards, but 2 touchdowns. And then Parker with some timely runs. And Ward caught that one ball in the back of the end zone for one of the 2 touchdowns. Nate Washington had the other. And it's a 4-point Pittsburgh lead. 2nd down and 8 from the 37-yard line. Parker gets stood up by Zach Thomas after a gain of 1, setting up a 3rd and 7.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to get a bunch over on that side and then get their tight end. You see Heath Miller and get him here. So you really have your blockers and you power here and you're trying to run into that side with the tight end leading. The tight end doesn't get much there, and there's no hole at all for Willie Parker. Zach Thomas just got over there and made that play.
3rd down and 7 at the 38-yard line. Per usual, Veron Haynes comes in as the 3rd down back. Ward sets up in the slot on the left. Looking that way. Ward makes the catch. And a 1st down over the 48-yard line on a 3rd and 7. Hines Ward, Super Bowl MVP, his 2nd grab of the night.
You know, the Steelers have done a good job on Jason Taylor. If you're going to pass the ball and they're just going to rush 4, you have to get him blocked. Watch Marvell Smith, number 77 there. He does a good job on Jason Taylor. Getting his hands on him, get up there, not letting him get a push on Charlie Batch. They threw that one to the side a bunch where they had 3 wide receivers. That's been giving Miami a problem this game.
Jason Taylor. He and Batch grew up close to each other. Boy, Taylor almost sprung it. Gets taken down. Zach Thomas was able to trip him up after a gain of about 6 yards to the 45 of Miami.
And that's the thing they do is run right at Jason Taylor, because he's not the biggest guy, and he's tougher when you run away from him. And when he's really tough is when you get in 3rd and long and the passing now. Here they had him on the right side that time defensively. They ran at him. This time they have him over on the left side.
2nd down and 4. That's a lot of time. And then throws, and it's caught over the middle. Hines Ward makes the catch. Allen and Hill in on the tackle. 3rd catch of the night, 2nd on the drive for Hines Ward.
Yeah, we were talking about, we saw Marvell Smith do a good job on Jason Taylor on the other side. This time it's Max Stark, 78, doing a good job on Jason Taylor there and keeping him away from Charlie Batch. And this is what Hines Ward does so well. I mean, he does the tough things. I mean, he catches those slants, catches those ends, blocks, does all the tough things that a wide receiver has to do.
More balls than any receiver in Pittsburgh history. And that's saying something when you've got a legacy of people like John Stallworth and Lynn Swann, 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah, he didn't do a great job on that play, but that's one of the things that the Steelers do with Hines Ward that very few other teams do is they use him as that extra blocker to fit. I mean, that time they brought him in motion and they made him block the off tackle hole. That's what he was saying to the sideline. Hey, make him go outside. Make him get outside.
Bill Cowher telling us yesterday he didn't want to overuse Ward coming off the hamstring thing. He said, I'll talk to him at the half. And obviously what he heard was music to Bill's ears. He's been on every play here. Batch under pressure, and then he's going to go down in the grasp of Jason Taylor. Couldn't get away from the initial pressure, and then Taylor is there to clean up. Taylor 12 sacks to lead the Dolphins last season.
Yeah, you know, that is kind of a coverage sack here because you look, he's trying to throw it to the right. This is what he sees out there. In fact, he could have taken a shot there, I think, to Cedric Wilson. But then when he didn't take that shot and he came back, then his protection broke down and Jason Taylor got there.
10-yard sack, 3rd down and 19. Opening drive, second half. Haynes, and he juggles it, and it's incomplete. Knifing through with the coverage was Zach Thomas. So it's 4th down and 19, and in comes Gardocki.
You know, that was a big play, that Jason Taylor sack, and Charlie Batch not getting rid of the ball because they were close or in field position. I mean, where they would have had a shot to try a field goal, and then that sack knocked them out of field goal. Then they try and the screen pass to get the field goal position back, and it's incomplete.
Right, Jeff Reed, one of the best. It's an advantageous night for kicking a mid-range to longer field goal here in a stadium that has swirling winds during the winter and is normally pretty tough for field goal kickers. Gardocki floats it. It bounces at the 7, but he can't get it to stop. And Miami will take over for the first time in the second half at the 20-yard line. Taylor Sack takes them out of field goal range. 14-10 Steelers.
Tonight on ESPN, all the news you need to know is on a brand new edition of SportsCenter. Later, Alan Green battles Emmett Linton during Friday Night Fights. Finally, the NFL season kicks off with a matchup of the Dolphins against the defending Super Bowl champion Steelers. It's SportsCenter, Friday Night Fights, and the Dolphins Steelers only on ESPN tonight.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
No turnovers yet in this one. The Steelers 14-10. And the famous French fries on a roll sandwich, a Pittsburgh specialty, being wrapped up at Heinz Field. How about that for carbohydrates? Steelers leading 14-10. Miami has the ball on the 20.
On first down. Culpepper pressured, taken down. That's Aaron Smith. Talked about him before, kind of the unsung guy up front in the 3-4. And we'll see if it's a sack. It won't be because he gained about a half a yard. Let's check in with Andrea.
Well, I spoke to Nick Saban coming off the field, and he said they need to open the game up more offensively in the second half. They started to do that a little bit in the second quarter. They have got to get the ball to Chris Chambers, who said they couldn't complete anything. He's got Marty Booker back in the game, and that's certainly a good sign for him.
Yeah, Marty Booker was shaken up midway through the first half. He's back in the game. You've got Chambers in motion. You've got Brown going to the outside. And Brown with some tough running picks up 3 yards. The former Auburn Tiger hit by Troy Polamalu. And then James Farrier.
You know, this is a tough decision for Nick Saban because you're only down 14-10. I mean, it's not like you're getting blown out. And you know, your running back until that play had carried 8 times for 9 yards. So do you give up on the run and just open up and and become one-dimensional? Because that's what the Steelers want you to do. I think that somehow you have to keep trying, at least in the third quarter, to get some running game going. Obviously not on this third down.
Yeah, Brown's carried 9 times for 11 yards. Culpepper 2 for 3. That's it. 14 yards between the two of them. Dante throws on the run. That's caught. It's Booker. So Booker gets back into the game. Does he ever? Remember last year, 4 catches for 50 or more yards, and a big one here on third down as Booker gets back into the game, takes it all the way down to the 26-yard line. They'll spot it there. Run out of bounds by Clark. And a gain for Marty Booker on the play of 50 yards.
You know, and that's about Dante Culpepper and just being able to run because he bought the time. You see, Booker is running like an out here, but he's able to stand on the sideline, work back a little because Culpepper, by scrambling and running to his right, bought the time so that he could find Booker and Booker could do this.
Tyrone Carter fell down. Otherwise, he stops him in his tracks early in the play. First down, 25-yard line. Brown on the ground. And some tough running there to the 21-yard line. Looked like it was going to be a gain of 2. Turns out to be a gain of 5. Tackled by Rodney Bailey.
I think anytime you play the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, it's going to be tough running because, you know, they're not only, you know, good players and big and strong, but they're all fast and they're all good tacklers. They have no guests on this defensive unit.
Second down and 5 from the 20.
I don't know that Chambers can beat Ike Taylor.
They go to Chambers. There's Taylor on him. Beats him there with a little straight arm for a first down. So Taylor right there on him. Couldn't make the tackle. And Chambers able to move the chains.
Yeah, and that's that play that we talked about earlier that Dante Culpepper just looks out there, and if there's any cushion, if the wide receiver has any room out there, he just gives him the ball. You see, here's the cushion. You see Taylor off here. When he sees this much cushion, he says, I'm just going to stand up and throw the ball. Boom, right there. See, there's no drop. There's no three-step drop or nothing. He just picks it up and just throws it out there, and they get the first down.
Chambers' first catch of the night. Took him over 37 minutes to get it. Third time they threw to him. Brown picking and threading. And takes it down to the 5-yard line.
Yeah, that's what they have to get here. This looked like a slow developing play. It looked like he started to the left and brought it all the way around to the right side. He does. It's a counter type of thing. He starts to the left, then over ball handling, goes all the way out to the right side, makes some good moves, and again, a pretty good finish. But I think that's what they have to do. You know, I mean, running has been tough, but I don't think you can ever give up on your run.
Brown started at the 20, second and a deuce at the 5-yard line. They've already gone 75 yards in about 3.5 minutes. Play action. And then that is almost intercepted. Taylor cannot hold on to it. Intended for Chambers, poorly thrown ball. Taylor is a great cornerback, but if there's one problem he has, it's holding on to possible interceptions.
But he had Chambers on that one, Al. You were right. That was a bad pass. I mean, Taylor was deep, and you're going to see him, and Chambers comes in, and then he gets a little push off right there. He's wide open. It looks like Culpepper thought that he wasn't and was trying to throw the ball away. But if he waited just a little while longer, that would have been a touchdown to Chris Chambers.
Third down and 2 from inside the 5. Little flip. Brown to the end zone. Touchdown, Miami. And the Dolphins have the lead for the first time.
Isn't it amazing what the running game will do?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you just get that where you can get some mix in, and then you hit a couple of quick things, and then you get that run game going. Then they're not exactly sure what you're going to do. Here it's a little fake to the fullback, toss it out there to the tailback, and Ronnie Brown just dives into the end zone. Block down, and that's just outrun everyone. It's not, you know, there was no lead out there in that play. It was just, here, Ronnie Brown, you take and outrun the 2 outside guys.
Murray's kick is just inside the left upright. 6:11 remaining in the third quarter. So Taylor can't make the pick. Pittsburgh pays the price. Miami 17, Pittsburgh 14 on opening night in the Steel City.
Center field. Beltran way back, and it is at the wall, and Beltran makes an absolutely amazing catch. The looper out in the center field, and DeJesus makes the catch. Boy, he stayed right with it. What a nice play by David DeJesus.
I don't care if he does it, he can't hit it anyway, so forget about doing that. Rayu fighting to win, has to make a shoestring catch.
Schneider hits his ball well out to center. That thing is flying, and it is caught by Chris Young. Back to first base, Ryan Church. Rivera starts back. Now he has to come in. He's still coming, and he just does get there. Wow.
You know what I like about tennis are the rankings. I like to know exactly where you stand at all times.
Yeah, it works for us.
Yeah. Hey, if they rank SportsCenter anchors, where do you think I'd be ranked?
I don't know.
Come on.
Nah, I'd rather not get into it.
Come on, pick a number between 1 and 10.
Well, I'm not sure you'll be in the top 10.
I'm in the top 10, Roger.
For me to step out on the field tonight, the emotions and the feelings that are inside of me are just so big and so great.
The man had surgery last November. November after Andrews down in Alabama. He does a lot of those. When he woke up, said to Dante, "You have a terrible, terrible injury, but you should be ready to play by the opener." This is Santonio Holmes taking it back up to the 18-yard line. So for the first time tonight, Pittsburgh trailing. 6:06 remaining in the third quarter in the 2006 NFL opener. Dolphins by 3.
Hello there. We're getting ready for the weekend edition of ESPN's SoccerNet Press Pass. Janusz Michalek and Tommy Smith will join me here in the studio as we look back at an exciting midweek of European Championship qualifying action.
No blinking, flinching or twitching.
There's no room in there. There's no space.
Not when victory is measured by millimeters.
We call it the madhouse. Great comeback.
The competition is dead brilliant. And if they're on target, the Yanks may beat the Europeans at their own game. $1 million US at stake. The World Series of Darts. Tonight, only on ESPN.
The League of the Stars continues with more live football action on ESPN. On Sunday from the Camp Nou Stadium, Ronaldinho, Messi, and Barcelona's powerful attack clash against the always dangerous Osasuna. Later, the game of the round live from Madrid. Javier Aguia's Atletico face off against a well-motivated Valencia. It's Barcelona-Osasuna, followed by Atletico Madrid-Valencia. It's Spanish football live this Sunday on ESPN. Tonight on ESPN, all the news you need to know is on a brand new edition of SportsCenter. Later, Alan Green battles Emmett Linton during Friday Night Fights. Finally, the NFL season kicks off with a matchup of the Dolphins against the defending Super Bowl champion Steelers. It's SportsCenter, Friday Night Fights, and the Dolphins Steelers only on ESPN tonight.
City.
First and 10, near the ball at the 18-yard line.
Rebirth through the years. City of Champions, as they like to call themselves. And they can do it again now because of last year's Super Bowl championship, their 5th, and Parker gets wrestled down by Keith Tractor Traylor behind the line of scrimmage. Traylor now in his 16th season, was a rookie with Denver in '91, and then Green Bay, Kansas City, Denver again, Chicago, New England, Miami.
You know, he's a 15-year career. Started out as a linebacker, and his weight just kept taking him inside and inside and inside. And now you're right there over the center where you can weigh the most.
2nd and 13.
But every once in a while, he'll still move like a linebacker.
Batch, and he's going to go down. Traylor got there late. Kind of cleans up at the end. We have Matt Roth in there as well. And that's going to set up a 3rd down and 16.
You're going to watch Jason Taylor here, right here on the outside. He reads it. It's a screen. You see, he's coming on a pass rush. The back comes to block him. He reads he's not trying to block me. He's trying to get out on a screen. So he just holds right there and stays with him. And that's the end of the screen. And that's why the sack.
5 minutes remaining now in the 3rd quarter. Steelers packed up on 3rd down and 16. Conventional 4-man rush. Batch throws, flag down, incomplete. Haynes, the 3rd down back, out of the backfield. Walt Coleman will make the call.
You know, Jason Taylor is used to being chipped, and he was just chipped on that play. That's where the tackle blocks him.
Hands to the face, 30, defense. 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Big, big, big. Anytime you have a defensive foul, Michael Lehan, the nickel back out of the University of Minnesota, signed as a free agent, and Saban is just crazy right now. Instead of punting from deep in their own territory, it's a little call, but it's a huge call. Only 5 yards, but a first down.
Right, and it's right here. And you can see that it was right initially, right on the line of scrimmage, but I don't know about that, but that's a tough thing. You know, you get that automatic first down. That's a big part of that penalty.
Batch hit as he throws. Jason Taylor again.
Yeah, I was saying Jason Taylor was kind of quiet in the first half, but he sure hasn't been quiet in the second half. I mean, he's been all over him. He's the guy that fouled up that screen. He's the guy who was on Charlie Batch there.
29. Defense. 5-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Now you've got Andre Goodman. So again, you got a guy starting in place of a would-be starter, Daniels. You got Lehan, the free agent, coming over, and back-to-back calls against them.
Right, and neither one of those were the 5-yard rule. You know, that's the one where you can't touch him after 5 yards, which we see quite a bit. Both of these, I think, were initially right at the line of scrimmage.
There was Travis Daniels. We hope to have him back a week from Sunday. Batch. Pressured again. Slings it to the outside. Little outlet to Parker. And Parker gets surrounded and taken down at the 23-yard line. Spragan and Crowder, the two outside linebackers, with the tackle.
Yeah, that's not a big play there for Charlie Batch, but that's a big thing when you can move around in the pocket and keep looking upfield. You know, a lot of quarterbacks, once they start to move in the pocket, they bring their eyes down. But if you watch Charlie Batch here, as he starts to move, he keeps his eyes upfield. You see, when he